Hi, my name is Dr. Ruth Pethybridge and I'm a dance academic. I'm just making this quick video because it's a video that I keep on wishing existed already on the internet, the great World Wide Web. It's kind of in response to being asked the question, so what do you do at parties, or shall we say work events? It's an inevitable question. Some people hate being defined by their job or their role. I am very engaged and find my work super meaningful. So for me, although I have multiple identities, being identified by my work is something that I take pride in. So I'm a lecturer in dance and choreography and a dance researcher. That means that people presume things like that I must be really fit. I'm not. That I can do the splits. I can't. And usually when I explain that I'm responsible for the theoretical sort of strand of the course that I teach on, the dance theory, there's a kind of bemused silence as people figure out what that might mean. And no, unfortunately, being a doctor of dance doesn't mean that I have a special move that can cure every ailment. Although I kind of believe that might be true. So this is no shade on anybody for not knowing what a dance academic who teaches dance theory might do. However, I mean, it's super niche, right? It's so niche. And it's also a relatively young discipline. So compared to, say, visual art history, which people might have a general sense of just because we live in such a visual world and there are a lot of images that are out there that will give you a sense maybe of past times or different aesthetics that we've moved through. So dance academia is really in the margins of academia more generally. Now, that is not necessarily a bad place to be, as many of you will probably know, and as the radical feminist scholar Bell Hooks wrote, at its best, the margins can be a place of radical openness, somewhere that you can create your own meanings and choose your position as one of sort of opposition, away from the glare of the mainstream. And dance scholarship, I guess, is no exception to this. But this doesn't mean that it lacks rigour or discipline. And I am standing on the shoulder of giants in my field, many of them women and queer men. There are lots of people who've come before me, and I wouldn't even put myself necessarily in the same bracket, but you can see some of them popping up here. So the dinner party conversation goes on. For me, this means describing to people how I take a contextualised approach to the way that we live in the world with our bodies. So this means acknowledging that our bodies aren't separate from the world somehow, or a project to be kind of worked on separate from ourselves, from our lives, our sociality, our desires and our politics. So through a cultural studies lens, I like to research the way that bodies and dances have operated in society. Sometimes they've served as kind of microtopias, places where we can create the ideals when the world around us is too harsh to exist in. Forms of resistance, or just ways of making sense of the world that we live in and finding collective moments of connection and physicality and, dare I say it, even joy. And there are many other ways besides. This is just one of the things that interests me, because like all fields of academia, every researcher will have their own kind of particular way into that field. And of course, there are loads of approaches within that field as well, as rich and varied as the bodies that are creating them. So, dance research, it's a thing. Dance scholarship, writing about dance through dance, it's a thing. If you want to find out any more from me, you can listen to my podcast, Dance Futures Podcast, available on all your favourite listening platforms. Otherwise, I hope this helps next time you're sitting next to a dance scholar at a dinner party.